Hi, welcome to my journey. Oh my God. We just been trying to breathe. I'm telling you, I can't even count the numerous times that I thought that I was just going to die. I'm serious. I'm not playing. Not figuratively, literally. Okay? Because the congestion would get so bad in my head, in my sinuses, in my throat, in my lungs that I couldn't breathe. So now I'm trying to figure out what's a girl to do, right? Even with the expensive medicine that I bought, right? Remember the one for $91 discounted by 10, Sam's price? Yeah, even that one, right? So, of course, I'm trying to give myself like bedridden rest, okay? But I got two doggies. Even though I can't walk them, I still got to feed them, and pay attention to them from time to time. Otherwise, they would literally destroy the house. Right? So then I start watching the news, right? Everybody's talking about, oh my gosh, this shutdown is gonna shut down food stamps. I'm like, now I'm doing my research, right? I'm going back in history. When was food stamps ever, shut down because the government was shut down? Never, right? So I'm trying to figure out, all right, this has gone really, way too far. Way too far. So, we're trying to figure out how come our taxes keep going up. They're not doing selective services, right? Some countries, they make that mandatory, right? They got to do selective services, period. No conditions, nothing. Only condition you get is whether or not, you actually gonna serve or you gonna be in the reserves. Okay. So I'm like, okay, well, that there should have took off, some expenses. But then I was thinking, oh my gosh, that was some of the cheap labor, America used to get off of, our selective services. Never thought about that. Okay, I didn't. Because when you're in the service, you have to, sure, it seems as if they're giving you something because you're there and you got food, room, and board, right? And of course they make you work and they train you, right? And actually that's a good life lessons to learn. How to survive, right? Because a lot of people, they don't know how to survive. So then they end up taking lessons from these dumb pea brains out here on the streets, telling them that, since you ain't got no life lessons, you got to take some street lessons, right? And believe me, once they determine your category, of offenses, then whatever they have in place to contain that type of offense, starts rubbing their hands together, with sights of being in honor of putting a medal on them for taking out the trash. Okay? For taking out the trash. Right? But, you can't tell these guys, look, you've been weaponized. You've been weaponized to either do good or you've been weaponized to do bad. And they don't get it. They don't believe it. Right? They just don't. And they refuse to. They're like, no, I won't believe it. Right? And we're like, you need to believe it. And they're like, no, I won't. So, anyway, oh my God, all these people are here at the bank teller, and the bank is closed at 3:47 on Saturday. Okay. So, anyway, I've been watching this guy, right? He's from Russia that's over there in Thailand, and he had been traveling, right? And Russia is calling him, right, to come and serve for his country. And he's like, no, he don't want to fight. He don't want to fight. And he doesn't believe in this war against Ukraine. Right? So, yeah. This war against Ukraine has become, a problem that may divide Russia. Right? And of course, I was getting flashes of, how California, was fighting against, the Republicans. Right? However, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a woman. And because I'm a woman, I will never, be bamboozled into believing that, sometimes God just makes mistakes and, you're a, feminine energy born in a man's body, or a man's, a masculine energy born in a woman's body. Okay, that's just the cards you were dealt, right? But to sit up here and say, well, for medical purposes, they have to get, 10 years transitional period, taking drugs and therapy and, and whatever else it takes, to transgender them. Right? And my whole thing is, listen, the way that they treat women, you ain't gonna want to become a woman. See, a lot of men was believing that women were like living the posh life, right? They were housewives and they was loved by their man and all of this stuff, right? So anyway, now they starting to see, heck, the majority of them, they're not even claimed to be the one. Right? Most of these men are starting to see now that, oh my gosh, I really didn't know that, men didn't claim these, they claim their woman to be, the one. Now that they're trying to be the one for these men, they didn't know that. Right? So I'm glad that they're seeing this firsthand, because when we were telling them, our husbands don't even like us, they were like, bullshit. You're trying to tell us your husband don't like you, and yet, here you are living, living in their minds, scot-free. And here you are living scot-free. Right? So, they start realizing that, the woman's not living scot-free. Right? The woman is not, being treated well. The woman is, basically being cheated on, being beaten. I can't believe this. Where is my card? So now, we got members of, the alphabet community kind of pulling on our side. Right? And we're like, don't pull on our side. Because, first of all, you're part of the problem. Where these men are loving each other, so much that, they are actually, hurting women, hating women, competing with women and telling men, I'll drop to my knees when you come home if you take care of me. And it's like, wow, So, we can go into all kinds of debauchery that men do with each other. Right? And the one thing that they'll say that, another woman cannot do for another man is penetrate him with her penis. So anyway, now we got that out the way, right? Because let's be honest, in the military, there's a lot of that going on, where these men are dedicating their loyalty to one another. We're true warriors. We love each other. We got each other's back. And to prove it, we'll do the unthinkable with each other as a pack. So, no, I don't side with the alphabet community. I don't. Right? However, a lot of them, when I look at them, And I can't figure out, how is it that the men's, right, the males, how they're able to adopt the feminine behavior, whereas the women, they don't really get to adopt the male behavior. And that's because men are not transparent. Men are not around. Men are always hiding shit. They're very secretive, right? So anyway, this lady, she just knew I was going to be nice enough to let her walk up to the drive-thru in front of me. Yeah, I did, and I am. At first, I wasn't. At first, my mind was, you need to get in your car. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute. The hell? She ain't in her car. But she did stand there in line to the side. So yeah. But, he's been informing us, this guy been informing us, what the Russians are trying to do to him